Almost 12, 11. Should be 12 at the end of the month. And then January. So
Hello, Blessed Family Recovery Summit. This is our last, it's our last meeting for this summit itself. We've got other things planned for you, and that's why I want you to stick around to the end, because Austin and I have dreamed up something else, and it is, knowledge is power only if you apply it, because we can all know how to change the oil in the car, but if we don't actually go out and do it, then we haven't really figured out how to do it. Same with baking, all those types of things. So while we are giving you kind of a rundown of what's going on today, please hang around. We've got a raffle for a full VIP all access pass today. We also have some other giveaways to do. Napuni in the background is taking care of all of those things. And if you have been a winner in the past but have not contacted us, please be sure and DM me. Be sure and say, hey, let me choose what I want. So right now, the interesting thing is Austin and I are both in Colorado. And I don't know about you, Austin, but it's really gray and cloudy for me. So if you are watching live, and I hope you are, throw in what your weather is like. We'd like to hear about some places that still have 80-degree weather that, we can still go shopping in our flip-flops and shorts. What's your day like out there, Austin?
I'm down in Denver and the sun is shining a little bit, but it's chilly. And, I was in Mexico just recently, and over the summer I was in Hawaii, and I tried to convince my family that we should just uproot ourselves and move to Hawaii because of days like today. Because I'm ready for sunshine again. Even
and
though
they said no.
Colorado's, they all said no. I thought about not getting on the airplane, but they were having a big problem with that. So.
They're like, we love Daddy. We want Daddy to go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Mom would have been a bigger problem if Mom would have decided to stay, I think. So.
Hey, you never know. You never know. So right. Austin and I met through a mutual friend who ran the Sober Summit, which is a summit that helps people who are looking at 100 days of quitting, looking at quit literature, all kinds of things like that. And Austin has a really interesting story, especially since, unlike some folks, you didn't even start drinking till you were 19. That wasn't even important to me. So tell us just a wink of your story and how your family was involved in all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, Tony, first of all, thanks for having me. This is fantastic. And I loved what you did on the Sober Summit. I love what you're doing with this summit. It's just amazing. So I love all of this space. Like you said, I didn't start drinking until college. I grew up in a really small town. I just never found drinking. It was just never one of those things that I got into. But I went off to college after a year off between high school and college. I drank for the first time. And I remember thinking, this is everything. This is exactly what life is supposed to be like. And very quickly became obsessed with it. Like most people in college, went through heavy use during college. I think that's fairly normal. It's becoming less normal, but still lots of people drinking, and lots of people drinking to excess. Unlike a lot of my friends, when I got out of college, they all cut back. They all kind of went back to normal, if we want to use that term for today, use, while I just continued kind of in like an upward or downward trajectory, depending on how you want to look at it. My life got increasingly worse. And by the time I was 24, I was like, I really got to quit. I think that this is a problem. Very shortly after college, tried to pull a geographic, tried to move. I was still there, so that was a whole problem. Tried to quit, and I couldn't find a community of support at the time. It was 2004. I just didn't figure out what I needed. There wasn't the support like there is today. I did meetings, I tried, but it just didn't take. And then I spent 10 more years just drinking my life away. My immediate family, I was married. I got married young. Luckily, still married. My wife and I celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary this year.
Congratulations!
Thank you so much. Yeah. And my wife, and then my parents and my sister and people around me were saying for a really long time that I needed to get help. Everyone could see that I had a problem with alcohol. Not only was it causing, problems within our family's dynamic, but I was becoming more and more physically ill. And in January of 2015, so a decade after I tried to quit the first time, I had what probably could be described as an emotional breakdown, and my wife and my parents and my sister came to me and said, "You have to get help. You need to do it, and you need to do it for real." And I always say, for whatever reason, on that day, I heard them, and I said, "I will do it." But I also didn't exactly do it for the right reasons. I was so tired. I was so physically ill, but I just wanted to get people off my back. I thought that if I could quit and I could prove to people that I could quit, that I could take an extended period off, that I would be able to go back to drinking and everybody would be fine. Like, it would solve the problem, because the problem wasn't my drinking. The problem was everyone else's problem with my drinking. And so I said I would quit. I went to an outpatient program. I committed to it, but the first 30 days I really committed to try and find a loophole. That was what I like. The first 30 days was how can I find moderation? Like, how can I figure this out? Now, I'd never been able to figure out moderation in my entire life, but I thought that somehow I could figure it out. But I said I would go 100 days of sobriety, and this amazing thing happened in those 100 days. My desire to drink went away. My life started to get better. I got physically better. I got emotionally better. My marriage started to improve. All of these wonderful things started to happen. And then at 100 days, I said that I would make a decision about whether or not I was going to keep drinking, go back to drinking, or I was going to stay sober. And I said I was going to do another 100 days. And seems like a crazy number. I'm coming up on 9 years of sobriety in January, which just seems unbelievable considering I started with this idea that I was going to try and figure out moderation. So I'm just, my wife and I have worked really hard on our marriage. We had a daughter when I was drinking, and then had a second one after I got sober. Life has gotten so much better. And a lot of it is because of my family being supportive of me, both trying to help me get better when I was drinking, but also being super supportive in my sobriety as well, and letting me put my sobriety first, which has been super important in my life. So
let me back up just a little bit. So you got this call, which I think everybody who uses has this fear of this call that says, okay, it's time, do something. Right?
yeah, like
So
it's not like we hadn't had that conversation before. Go ahead. Sorry.
And you go the 100 days, and I've heard you tell this story before. Your wife at that point asks you what you're going to do. Did she stay off your back? Did she not nag you? Did she leave you alone?
In that 100 days?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did this outpatient program, and really my family did this amazing thing for me, which I didn't necessarily understand at the time, but I understand now. They let me live that 100 days. And I think it would have been different had I gone back to drinking in that 100 day, but I stayed continuously sober through those 100 days. And I worked really hard at, a program of recovery with professionals and with peer support. And so, yeah, she really let me live my life during that time. Now, I don't know that, looking back at it, she was pretty done with me. So I don't know if it was done. I think she was waiting for the other shoe to drop in some ways, but my family really let me recover in a way that made sense to me. And that was huge. And I did say that I would make a decision on day 100. That was my thing that I told everybody that I was going to do. And so, yeah, it was fantastic.
So they let you be you. They let you be an adult. They let you handle your own recovery. And they must have, I'm not going to speak for them, but there must have been something in the background where they were managing themselves. Because otherwise, they would have been struggling with you. And that's what we're here to talk about. And stick around, because we're here to talk about this moving forward with knowledge idea. But as you're kind of formulating all this, you talk about an imagined future, and it kind of held you in some places. What was that like?
Yeah. This imagined future is one of those things that I always talk about as not thinking about the future, because I plan for the future. I have goals for my life. Those are all things that we should do. I have intention for my life. But I had this problem, especially when I was drinking, and I still have it in sobriety, that I start living in a different place. it's not that I'm imagining this future. It's not that I'm setting goals for myself, but I start not being here. I'm in tomorrow or a year from now or 10 years from now. And I've already achieved the things that I want to achieve. I'm already making the money that I want to make. I have the kudos that I want to have. Like, I've already achieved those things in my mind. Unfortunately, in today, I haven't achieved any of those things. And so I can actually stop doing the things that are necessary to get to that point because I'm already there. I've already achieved them. That can happen as well as the failures. And those two things can go hand in hand, right? I can be in the future achieving the things that I wanted to, or I can be in the future living there in the failure that hasn't happened yet either. And both of those things are really dangerous for me. I was on talking to a friend the other day, and he was talking about this house that they haven't closed on yet. And we were talking about the imagined future. And he was like, I'm already living in that house. I've already had the furniture's already in place. I know which bike path I'm going to take. I'm already riding that bike path. I'm having my coffee on the patio. He's like, I'm living in that house already. We haven't even closed on that house yet. I don't know if I'm going to get it. And that was such, like, that to me is when we start thinking about, like, it's not that I'm just imagining. It's not that I'm pretending that I'm there. It's not that that's my goal. It's that in my head, I'm already there. And that's when I get really lost and I get really unhappy. I'm way happier when I live right here in the day that I have.
In the present moment. And for families who are surrounded by addiction or dealing with addiction in their family, they often spend time, like you said, in that failure place of, what if the worst happens? What if the police show up? What if they lose their job? Because what we know is 70% of the people that are using some kind of substance or dealing with some kind of heavy addiction are actually working. They're functional. You were functional. You were going to work until you weren't. But basically, you're functional. And so we do this imagined future rather than staying in the present. And I'm going to hold you up right there because we're going to talk about the present here in a minute. But I have some things to give away today. And I'm going to have to look away from you for just a minute to do that. So thank you to everyone who's here. We have some people who have been really excellent at posting and getting everything up in there. And so I have an all access pass to give away. And Napuni, do I have their names in there of who posted? I don't know if I have their names. Okay, so what I need is their names because I'm going to pick a number, or actually, Austin, you're going to pick the number. So we have two people to pick from. So these are great odds. You have a 50% chance of winning a VIP all access pass, and she's going to throw some numbers up in here, and are some names up in here. And we'll go with that. Okay. So pick one or two, Austin.
Ooh, I'm going to go with one.
All right. So Lisa Kincaid Becker, you have just won an all access pass. Then the next thing I'm going to do, because we really want you to get this information. The Sober Summit and the Blessed Family Recovery Summit for families is kind of a pair. We really want you to get this information. So for all of you, I see you popping on and off. For all of you who are here and can put your names or initials in the comments, because we certainly believe in anonymity if that's what you need to do, we will pick one more all access pass for today while we are doing that. So I've got a watching. I'm here. I've got a good morning. It's sunny. I need your name because I will never be able to find you again. Just honestly, if you toss your name in there, and we will do another drawing for that. Sweet. I've got people coming in. So while you are coming in, and go ahead and tell us, Austin, about living in the present. So if you want to throw your name in there, kick your name in. We will do that drawing. Austin, tell us about how you stopped the imagined future, or what steps you began to take.
Oh yeah, I always had this idea that I could somehow just be more present. Like I could just somehow magically become present. But my problem is I am an action person. I very firmly believe that I need to take action in my life. And so when I decided, instead of living in the future, living in the past, because past is the same problem, right? Like I can live back there too. Um, but when I I share this story oftentimes. When I first started in sobriety, I lived in today, right? That was just my entire life. I really took that concept of living just one day at a time to heart, and I did. And then I started again living in the future. Life got really hard. It got more challenging. So I refocused myself. And one of the things I learned in my life was that I needed something to do with my present focus. I couldn't just be present. And so I started this concept of experience, recognize, and accept. And it's era. I love Taylor Swift, and I think that this whole era concept really spoke to me. So this is my present era. But experience, recognize, and accept is about being present, but also using being present to do something. So for me, the last step is acceptance of the situation that I'm in. So often I talk about positive, and I know that you probably heard Victoria on the Sober Summit talking about those glimmer moments.
Mhm.
And I use those moments as an opportunity to understand better who I am. So I experience one of those glimmers, and then I take this chance to recognize everything that's going on around me. I try and absorb not only the physical space that I'm in, but also my emotional state that I'm in, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing. And then at the end of that process, as I make that as concrete as possible, I have this little conversation with myself, which is this who I want to be? Is this who I'm trying to become? Or is this, in a negative sense, off sometimes, this isn't who I'm trying to be? And so is this experience in alignment with who I am becoming in my life? And so that acceptance piece either can build me up and can help me become more of who I want, or it can give me insight into not necessarily who I'm trying to be. When I live in the present moment, when I am present with my kids and my wife and my family and my friends, my life is so easy. It just becomes so much easier. I am not worried about what's happening tomorrow because I know I'm pointed in the right direction. I've done the work to be intentional about which way I'm going, but I only have to worry about the 24 hours ahead of me. I do not have to spend time in tomorrow.
And that's a perfect segue into what you were going. I've got it up. She says she's got it up here. I've got it up here. So we want you to put this into practice. And I called up Austin and I said, hey, I know it's last minute. I know it's last minute, but we just did this really great summit. And a month ago, you did this really great summit. Are there people that you think would be interested, especially over the holidays? Because it's a hard time for families. It's a hard time for folks who have decided they're doing their 100 days. Maybe you're thinking about their 100 days. You know, we know the change wheel, all those types of things. I said, I only coach women. Austin said, I've only coached men so far. So we're like a nice pair. And I want to show you what he has designed for the men, and then I'll show you what I've designed for the women. This we're going to send out some more, and it is for the next 3 Wednesdays. Now, you don't have to make all of them, but if you want to make some of them, we're going to do some group coaching. We're going to present some mind-blowing stuff. I mean, you can already hear Austin. He's got great stuff just dripping off of him right now. So let me show you if I can manage the, this is always my issue, Austin, is managing the screen share.
Trust me.
Here we go.
I've just started to figure out all of the lives and everything else. And it is, I never feel as old as I do when I'm trying to do something like this.
I know. We could call in one of our teenagers to do this.
Right, exactly. My 12-year-old, 7-year-old could probably knock it out faster than I could.
So Austin, tell us about this picture. I mean, this is just fantastic all the way around.
The New Year's has become a big deal in our house, which is funny because it's such a huge drinking holiday, right? And so I have a tendency to get really squirrely around drinking holidays generally. But my my kids, I have a 12, almost 12-year-old and a 7-year-old. My wife and I, we do a big, just family New Year's bash every year. It's just the four of us. So we hang this backdrop up, we get out, we set up a little photo booth, and it's one of our favorite things. We take tons and tons of goofy pictures. We have snacks. And so I thought this just seemed perfect for thinking about the holidays and New Year's coming up. And so, yeah, I think I took like 50 selfies this day. So, because I also love a selfie. So,
It's fantastic. And that's the one thing, and I imagine you found it too. I found the recovery community to be very authentic, very real, and very good at laughing at themselves.
I think you either, I mean, you can go a different way if you want to, but I think that it's a lot easier to just be exactly who I am. So I tried it the other way. I tried the lying to everyone for a long time, but that didn't work out so well for me. So,
You know, that's never much fun.
no.
We will have this on our emails that we send out, but run us through kind of your thoughts on this and how this is going to look.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really, obviously, we talked about this on this weekend, and then
Yeah.
today is Monday.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time thinking about the things that that I want during the holidays. And obviously I had a chance to think about this when we did the sober summit. Cause you and I both had that opportunity to talk about like the holidays and those kinds of things, but whether people are in recovery or whether they're around recovery or around addiction, I think the holidays have similar problems. And especially men face unique challenges, as do women. And that's, you and I talked about that a little bit. I want people to have these practical tips for dealing with the holidays, both Christmas that we have coming up, and New Year's coming up, but a lot of other holidays this year, this time of year, and so many people to be around. And so even when we're thinking about things like triggers, triggers are, in my life even today, are not triggers to want to drink. My desire to drink has been lifted. That isn't the thing I think about when I think about a trigger. I think about wanting to escape, and I have a lot of different mechanisms for wanting to escape my life. Drinking is definitely one of those things that's highly effective, but it is not my go-to strategy anymore. Not gonna love I love little Debbie zebra cakes, and sometimes that can be a little bit of a problem for me as well. It's not an effective means of escape, but we can be triggered, and then we can have fallout from that trigger, emotional fallout, physical responses. And I find that when I'm able to really recenter myself, and use mindfulness, and then use that mindfulness to do something, um, my life, like I said, gets better. And so I want people to walk out of these 3 Wednesdays, men to walk out of these 3 Wednesdays with some new skills to deal with both the highs and lows of the holiday season. And also maybe make some new connections, right? Having connections in our lives in general, having other people, peers in our lives that understand what we're doing. For me in the recovery space, I love having sober friends around me. But if you have addiction in your family that you're dealing with, having someone else that you could reach out to. And so this may be an opportunity to make that connection as well. It's not the intent, but I think that people we'll have a chance to chat, and we'll have some discussion time, as well as going through some tips and tricks.
Awesome. So we will put all this out. Austin will put it out on his channels. We really wanted to think about you, and we know holiday spending can get everybody. We're a Dave Ramsey family. We do budgets like that, but it can still get us. So we wanted to make this really something that you can drop into. Maybe you're giving up your latte that week, but you can drop it.
Hopefully your latte is cheaper than $27. I don't know. But
yeah, absolutely. Well, that's 27 for all three, so that
all
makes
three. That's true.
Really cheap.
But if you're spending $27 a week on lattes,
it's doable. It's not quite doable on Little Debbie snap cakes, but it's doable.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
we will give you the opportunity to see his holiday photo and to sign up for that. And let me switch gears. So we have a very interesting, it's funny that you say that about New Year's. We have a very interesting Christmas routine that even if we liked you and you invited us over to your house on Christmas Day, we wouldn't do it. So my boys were 4 and 6. My husband is a chef. We're fixing this huge meal. I'm getting the tablecloths out and the dishes and all that stuff. And you know what 4 and 6-year-old boys are like. They've got their toys out everywhere and they're running back and forth. The dog's chasing them back and forth, and it's just total chaos. They don't want to sit down, right? Why would they want to sit down? They want to play with their toys. Out of that day was born our Christmas Do Nothing Day. So on Christmas Day, we do absolutely nothing. We don't even cook. What happens prior to this, which has become a family ritual, this is what you get out of a recovery community, which has become a family ritual, is we all go to the grocery store together. We have a budget of what we can pick, and everybody picks their favorite foods. And, you know, with little ones, it's the sugary cereals and the pizzas and the microwavable things. And occasionally husband and I will do something a little more complicated, but we stay in our jammies. We don't even answer the phone. So if you called us on Christmas Day, we're sorry, we will get back with you. We watch movies, we play games, and we eat food when we want, how we want, on paper plates, so nobody has to clean and nobody has to cook. So I love it that you have a ritual yourself, Austin, and we have put that ritual in place because I know a lot of people have a lot of family commitments. We have even said no to family and friends and said, look, we need to keep this tight. In fact, my sister got married just before Christmas one year. We went down there, but the boys said, we will go if we're home for Christmas Eve. And I'm like, okay, it's expensive, but we'll make it happen.
That's fantastic. I love this idea of like, I withdrew from my life in recovery and then started adding things back in. And that intentionality, I think, is so important. Like, what do I want to bring back into my life and how do I want to approach it instead of it just being what we always have done? I think that is so fantastic.
It's been great. And like I said, we had one Christmas in my son's, well, it would have been about 14 years of this, where we had to be away because we had a death in the family. Mm-hmm. And they looked at me and they said, you taught us to be at home for Christmas. We want to be at home for Christmas. We're not doing this again. I'm like, I can't help it when people die, guys. Right. It just happens. But we've had a few more people join us. So if you want to be in the All Access Pass raffle, you need to kick your names in so we can see it. I've got 5 of you right now. I've had some other people join. If you want to put that in, I want to share with you what we are doing for the women. And I've hit the wrong button. Hang on. Hold on. All right, Austin, you're so patient.
You're nailing it. This is awesome.
Some days. Now let's see if I can find the right one. Maybe this is it. This is it. Okay, hopefully we can see all of that. And one of the things that was happening was when we really began to look at this struggle, and I always start by saying, I was not doing the substance use, but I can tell you, if you came and took a meter, I was the one acting crazier. I was the one doing more damage. I was the one who was harming the family because I couldn't control my emotions. I couldn't control my anger. And there was some physicality about that. I just talked about that on a podcast, and that's still a little raw for me someplace. So I know what it's like. My husband and I, we had cops, courts, and chickens on December 20th. So we spent my boys' 3 and 5-year-old Christmas apart, restraining orders. It was really hard. I don't want anybody to have to go through that. So what I have designed, and it is about looking at the patterns that you're doing, the things that you keep doing, and the overwhelm. One of the things that brought us to the Do Nothing Christmas Day was that I kept saying, well, we need to have this, and we need to show the boys how to sit at a table. We need to show the boys how to, how to eat with a fork and knife and how to eat on china, so that when they go to their future mother-in-law's house, they know how to behave. Well, at 4 and 6, that really didn't matter. So it just didn't matter. So what I began to look at was what was causing me to think that way, what was causing my husband to do what he was doing. And I found out that there was a lot of hidden pain in both of us and how we were showing up, and that both of us had a lot of things we hadn't worked out for ourselves. But I can tell you this, that families are the most unheard and the most unresourced group in this process. And I'm not sharing this tab, am I? Am I sharing this tab again? There we go. They're the most uncared about, unloved on group in this whole process. So what I want to do for your holidays, let me see if I got the tab back on, is to offer those folks that were part of the summit how to work with this, how to step into this, and how to manage yourself in the process, knowing what you like and what you dislike. Because sometimes we spend so much time taking care of this crisis or what we think might be a crisis. We don't even know what we like or dislike. We don't even know if a do nothing Christmas would be good for us or wouldn't be good for us. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do something similar to Austin, is focus on first awareness and then acknowledging and then assessing before you take action. Because if there's anything that didn't get installed in me early on, was a pause. If you talk to any of my men, I don't have any ability to pause. I am ready, fire, aim. It's just boom, 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 boom. That has been, as Austin was talking about earlier, one of the biggest things in my life, was learning how to take that pause when I'm standing there in the kitchen going, do I really, is this the battlefield that I want to die on today? Or is this something that maybe we throw some paper plates out and, you know what, we eat on the couch, or we spilled soda all over it, but hey, the couch was in rough shape anyway, so why am I worried about it? Those are the types of things that I want to work with you on and begin to look at what's important to you. So we've titled this the Grace and Recovery Framework because really I need a lot of grace. They need a lot of grace. Everybody, as Brene Brown says, is really doing the best they can. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a small part of the Grace and Recovery Framework and we're going to work on caring and purposeful action. And just like Austin, we're going to get in there and have community. We're going to answer questions. You can bring your scenario and go, you know what? This really drives me bananas. And what do I need to do about it so I can have a good holiday and they can have a good holiday? So we would love for you to join us. We are both in Mountain Time, which is the oddest time in the universe because it's this one little strip of the country that does this. It is 6 o'clock Mountain Time for both of us. You'll be in different Zoom rooms, but for both of us. And then 8 o'clock Eastern PM on Wednesday the 13th, Wednesday the 20th, and Wednesday the 27th. Show up as you are in your jammies with your hair sticking out all over the place. You know, that's not, yeah. Well, Austin looks good all the time. If your kids are running around in the background, that's okay too. We've been there. We know what that looks like. COVID was a big gift because we can do all this from our homes, right? So we would love to have you there. We're going to post some more about this, and Wednesday is just in 2 days. So if you're like me, I don't have any presents wrapped. I don't have a Christmas tree up. I don't have anything ready to go. And I am learning to say, that's okay. I am still a valuable, worthwhile, creative, resourceful person. Things will get done. So we would love to have you join us there. All right, Austin, I'm going to put up the wheel. We've got 5 people to pick from. You're not going to have to pick a number. The wheel's going to spin, but you're going to tell me when to hit it. How about that?
All right.
Which means I have to present something else.
I was going to say, am I going to see the wheel?
I
was thinking about like this. My kids aren't here. It's backwards today. My kids aren't here today because they're at school, but like normally that door pops open and my kids are flying through there. So
I know it. Okay. So we're going to hit the wheel. Say go, Austin, and I'll hit.
All right, go.
Can you see it? You can see it.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Let's spin it.
All right.
I love this.
Isn't this fun?
That's really fun.
Number 3. Woo! Okay, Napoleon has laid out number 3. Number 3 is Sharon Carton. Does Sharon not already have a pass? We'll work that out later. But Sharon, excited for you. And if she does already have a pass, we will go back and we will respin at some point. We can always do that kind of stuff. So Sharon, right? We would love to have you in there. Sharon Heflin Curtin. Okay. my faithful and wonderful person behind the scenes is handling all that stuff. Austin, thank you so much for being here. Tell them where they can find you. You have figured out how to run TikTok. I have not. So
I spend a lot of time on TikTok. I do a TikTok live every single weekday, actually, at noon Mountain Time, because it's the weirdest time. So I just decided to do it when I want to do it. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Austin J. Karr, Karr. And my website's the same, austinjkarr.com.
And he has just what he's on Instagram and has wonderful things in there as well. I'm sorry, I'm getting messages over here. He has wonderful things in there, so I suggest you go check that out. The last thing I wanted to fill you with is today at midnight Mountain Time, because I'm not staying up till midnight Eastern. Midnight Mountain Time, we are turning off the $67 all access pass. So if you haven't won one and haven't gotten it, you will get to keep it for a year. You get the podcast, you get over $700 worth of bonuses. And I am going to make an offer right now. If you hop in the all access pass right now, I will kick in these three webinar things for free. So that's part of my Christmas gift. I'm going to kick all that in and we will make that work for you. So you have until midnight tonight, Mountain Time, which is 2 a.m. Eastern. So it's a lot of time to get in there and get that all access pass for $67. It will hang out for a while at $97, but why spend the extra $30 if you don't have to? Austin, thank you again.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to do this. Thanks for reaching out. I think it's going to be fantastic. I hope you have a great holiday season.
I hope everyone has a great holiday season. And you know what? You can pause. I am literal truth that you can pause. Even if you're digging your fingernails into your hand going, I'm not going to say anything right now. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.